Hey, welcome. This is Josh Rubin from East West Healing and Performance, and today I want to talk about decoding cravings, what cravings are all about, and some basic things that you can do. Of course, there's more to it, and at the end I'll share something that we've created that might be able to help you. Don't forget to visit our website at eastwesthealing.com to download your free ebook called The Stress Reduction Manifesto, as well as be a part of the free e-course, a 12-part series called Understand Your Metabolism to Heal Your Health. Now, our whole philosophy is about body awareness. Whether it's nutrition, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, emotional, the bottom line is the body is always talking to you. And the question is, are you actually paying attention? Most people are not. Most people put it to the side. Now, if we actually begin to create awareness through things that we do, whether it's food journaling, whether it's doing some art and mandalas, or getting back to your hobbies, or meditating, taking time out during the day, and actually thinking about and responding to life, you can actually start to create some awareness around what you're doing and actually fine-tune some of the things that you're doing that aren't serving you in order to actually get above and beyond the roadblocks that you feel you're facing. Now we're talking about cravings, we're talking about nutrition, and of course this isn't a course, it's a little YouTube, but it's really designed to create some awareness around what cravings are. Now it's interesting because have you ever noticed that cravings often parallel times of stress and anxiety? And this is common because the central nervous system's primary source of fuel is sugar. And we need this to think. And this is why most people, of course there's many reasons why people fall asleep and daydream in class or when they're studying, but that's one of the reasons. Another reason is because they're not meeting the demands they're placing on the body. They're studying a lot, they're thinking a lot, and the energy they're taking in, the types of carbs, proteins, and fats, the ratios, the frequencies, and not meeting the demands they're placing on their body. And this is a clear-cut signal that your body is talking to you. The question is, are you actually listening? And if you're not listening, you're not going to be able to make the changes. If you are listening, you're actually going to be able to make those changes so you're not falling asleep. So maybe you can handle stress a little bit better. So you don't have anxiety, insomnia, fatigue. So you can actually get a good night's sleep. It's interesting. I remember in college, I constantly fell asleep in class. Constantly. I couldn't stay awake for the life of me. But I remember in college, I'd wake up, have a bowl of cereal, go to class. For lunch, I'd buy a sandwich, that was on campus, etc. But over the years, I transferred, so I went to college for a long time. I started to work on my nutrition. And just by working on the foods I was taking in and the frequency of foods I was taking in, I was actually able to stay awake in class. I paid attention to what my body was telling me. I didn't really realize it at the time. I started to get into bodybuilding, so my nutrition changed. But the foods I was taking in and their frequency really helped my cognitive function and allowed me to actually pay attention to what was working for me and not working for me, and allowing me to stay actually awake during class. Now the body is always forever working to maintain a state of balance. That's what the body's all about. Everything in life unfortunately is a stress, but how we live, how we pay attention to those stressors, the foods we eat, all these different things can actually assist in modulating these stressors. So maybe they don't have as large of an impact on our system. And in doing so, the body's always communicating messages to us. Think about it every day. The body's telling you when it's time to rest. The question is, are you listening? Most people are not. It's telling you when you need to eat. Most people are not listening to that because most people eat 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day. Even if they eat more, they're out of balance. And your body's telling you that. This is what we're going to be talking about. It's telling you when you need to drink, when you need to sleep, when you need to eliminate, etc. The question is, are we listening? And the problem is most people are not, because we live in a society where it's do, work, work, work. And most people are not taking time out to eat lunch away from their computer or desk, or even to go to the bathroom, which of course can lead to constipation. Now food cravings are a clear-cut signal from your body. It's speaking to you, letting us know that the energy being received, which is calories, is not adequate to the demands being fulfilled or placed on the body. And this is very common, and this is where blood sugar imbalances actually are started. If the demands you're placing in your body, whether it's studying, school, work, emotional stress, exercise, lack of nutrition, you're pushing the pedal to the metal, if the demands you're placing on your body exceed the energy coming in, of course, the body is going to communicate to you that you need more energy, which is cravings, in order to produce energy, in order to get through the day. It's equivalent to, not having enough gas in the car, enough oil in the car, and pushing the pedal to the metal. The car is actually going to communicate that with you, maybe with smoke in the engine or a funny sounding engine. The body does the same thing. The question is, it depends what you're doing. Are you using body temperature and pulse? Are you using food logs? Are you paying attention to cold hands and feet? Are you using other feedback mechanisms? I don't know, maybe you're using labs. But are you paying attention to these signals? Because a lot of the times, supplements can do nothing to help this. You have to first create a nutritional, physiological foundation so that the energy that you're taking in is meeting the demands you're placing on your body. And it's not cookie cutter. Everyone is different because we all have a different background and history. We come from different places. We have different stressors in our life, and different amounts of stressors. And we're all in a different kind of healing state. And of course, your demands are always going to change. The demands you place in your body and the demands that you're taking in. So that's why the body is forever working to maintain a state of balance, because things are always changing. This is why nutrition is not cookie cutter. It could change day to day, week to week, month to month, depending on your stressors, your cycle, where you live, etc., your age. Now, as I mentioned, it's all about balance. Now, of course, the body plays a huge role in this, like the liver, the pancreas. And as I mentioned, the liver is way more of an organ than just detoxification. And it plays a huge role in blood sugar regulation along with the pancreas. Now, the key to regulating your cravings, or to fight your cravings, is to regulating your blood sugar. It's literally the only way to fight your cravings. Your body's telling you you're not taking in enough of the right carbohydrates in relation to proteins and fats. Remember, this is all about balance. It's not about taking in a high carb diet. It's not taking in a high protein diet, a low protein diet. It's not taking in a high fat or low fat diet. It's about finding the balance that works for you with carbs, proteins, fats with each meal at the end of the day. Now, it's important that your liver actually stores glycogen, and it does this through food frequency. If we're taking in 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, we actually kind of, I don't even know if this is a word, unteach our liver to actually store glycogen. And the liver stores glycogen to convert to glucose for usable energy. And it uses it to actually convert inactive thyroid hormone to active thyroid hormone, T4 to T3, where over 80% of the conversion takes place in the liver. And then our cells use this T3 along with glucose to produce CO2, ATP, and water, which is energy. And this is very important, and I'll talk about this because if we don't have enough stored glycogen, you actually are out of homeostasis, you're out of balance, the body has to actually work harder, break down tissues, use more energy and more resources to produce less energy. And a lot of the times it doesn't even produce energy. So we're actually creating kind of an energy drain. Now, cravings are a clear-cut signal that blood sugar is not being managed, and this is one of the signals that we have to listen to. If we're not regulating our blood sugar, your body is going to give you cravings to tell you, hey, you need to eat more food, the right types of food, of course, and the right frequency to create balance in your physiology. And by eating the right balance of carbs, proteins, and fats, in the right ratios per meal and right frequencies based on body temperature and pulse, you can actually manipulate your physiology in a positive way to eliminate your cravings, eliminate your fatigue, eliminate your anxiety, eliminate your insomnia, regulate your hormones, regulate your cycle, increase your libido, and increasing your overall vitality. Now, the bottom line is you got 3 decisions: the high road, the low road, or actually creating some balance. And that's what we're all about here at East West Healing Performance. It's about creating balance in everything we do. It's not that cortisol is bad or estrogen is bad. It's not about, protein is high, protein is bad or anything is bad. It's about always finding the balance between everything we're doing. Even your nutritional philosophy. It's about finding the balance, what works for you, to allow you to do the nutritional program you're doing in your life so it creates balance. If what you're doing is trying to create health, and what you're doing is a stress and you don't want to do it, and it's kind of making you feel unhealthy in a way, you're actually you're taking this healthy process and you're making it into an unhealthy process. Everything is about balance. So when blood sugar is too high or too low, the cells are not receiving what they require to produce energy. And as I mentioned, your cells need, of course, many minerals like magnesium and sodium and copper, and red light stimulates certain enzymes along with copper to produce energy, but it specifically needs glucose and T3 to produce CO2, water, and ATP to keep that positive feedback mechanism going so you can actually produce energy. It uses oxygen as well. That's why it's called oxidative metabolism sometimes, or glucose oxidation. And it needs all these to produce energy. And it's actually interesting as well because according to Broder Barnes, your body actually, when cholesterol goes up to fight stress, it's the largest antioxidant in the body, it actually needs T3 to make that conversion into steroidal hormones in order to get that conversion so your cholesterol comes down so you can fight inflammation. So he showed that high cholesterol is actually a marker for hypometabolism or hypothyroidism. Now, as we've talked about, or I just talked about, glucose is your cell's best friend. I'm not saying go out and eat bread and pastas and all these foods with glucose. What I'm saying is this. Most people are in a hypometabolic state. They actually can't even use glucose because they're eating a diet that's high in unsaturated fats. They're taking in the wrong types of carbs. They're taking a diet high in protein. And their body's in a state of gluconeogenesis and they're breaking down fats for use of energy. But the problem is these fats are actually inhibiting cell energy metabolism and you're producing lactic acid. So what I'm saying is this, if we can use the right types of carbohydrates in relation to proteins and fats, such as tropical fruits and roots that contain a balance of sucrose, which is fructose plus glucose, because sucrose is a disaccharide. And of course you have to be careful because a lot of roots have a higher glucose to fructose content. It's been shown by many people, like Ray Peat, Broder Barnes, Dick and Weatherby, and many other physiologists, that yes, glucose can stimulate insulin. But eating a food that contains fructose with it can inhibit that insulin spike, thus regulating blood sugar, and thus allowing glucose to be stored in the liver to be used as usable energy and thyroid hormone conversion. So that's why getting those foods is important and why glucose is your cell's best friend. Now, of course, the body has a backup plan. If you're not taking in the right types of foods, the body says, well, I need to live, I need to thrive, I need to live life to the fullest. Because if you didn't have this backup plan, you'd essentially go into a coma and die. And this is why diabetics, when they don't regulate their blood sugar, sometimes can go into a coma. So the body bounces out of homeostasis and you go into this pathophysiological phase. The question is, are we listening? And the body's going to release adrenaline, now I'm simplifying this, to mobilize stored glycogen from the muscles and liver for energy. This is a short-term plan. It shouldn't be long-term. And the body actually can sacrifice long-term needs or gains for short-term stress or life or gains. This is why most people aren't living as long or aging faster. So it releases adrenaline kind of as like a relief pitcher because you're not doing the job to mobilize glycogen. The problem is most people don't have enough stored glycogen. So the adrenaline does what it can, which of course can acutely sometimes raise pulse. Usually it will lower pulse. Then chronically over time, if you're not regulating blood sugar, these are the people that have a super high pulse waking up and throughout the day and it's actually hard to regulate. So the body says adrenaline's done its job, but you don't have enough stored glycogen because you haven't done your job. So then the adrenal glands, kind of kick in and the body releases cortisol. Now, none of these things are bad. It's in excess they're bad, or I should say they're catabolic. We need these things to survive so we can actually, fight stress but bounce back to homeostasis. If it's chronic or in a hypercortisol state, this is when it becomes, catabolic. We demineralize bone. We break down muscle tissue, we break down adipose tissue, because cortisol is a glucocorticoid. It's designed to turn these proteins and fats into glucose. The problem is it uses a lot of energy to do this, it produces less energy, and at the same time it mobilizes free fatty acids in the blood, which actually inhibit energy production and produce lactic acid. So yes, we're breaking them down to produce glucose, it's not efficient, and we're still not producing energy, we're still producing lactic acid. So you're pushing your body into this adaptive state. It's essentially like running from a lion all day. You feel stressed. You can never relax. You can't go to the bathroom. You have no libido. You don't feel like eating. You don't feel like resting because you're running from a lion. And when people are running from a lion, they don't feel like doing these things. So this adaptive response is interesting. So if the body does not receive enough of the right carbs, as I mentioned, or glycogen storage sites are empty because of poor food frequency, the body has this adaptive response. That's everything I just went over. This adaptive response meaning it's a backup plan for survival, and most people are running around in this survival state all day. This is why you have no libido, your digestion is slow and you're constipated, you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like resting, you don't feel like sleeping because you're running from a lion. You're in survival mode. You're releasing adrenaline and cortisol in this adaptive state to break down your body because you're not meeting its needs. This adaptive state is trying to keep you alive, but it does not sustain life. It actually is going to contribute to cravings. It pushes you deeper and deeper into this catabolic state. And if we listen to this, and we start to eat the right foods in the right balance, we can actually get our body out of this adaptive response and closer to homeostasis, so we can sleep, so we can have libido, so we're not constipated and we have an appetite. Now, what do? Of course, it's a lot more complex than this, but some basic recommendations are: try to find out, based on our philosophy from our blog and YouTube and our free ebook, and our cookbook, which has a great introduction to our philosophy. It's not just a cookbook. Try to eat a balance of carbs, proteins, and fats throughout the day. Focus on eliminating processed foods like, breads and pastas and Pop-Tarts and Twinkies and things like that. Focus on your food frequency to reteach your liver how to store glycogen. Focus on other modalities in your life, like exercise. Maybe you're overtraining, maybe you're undertraining. Find the right type of exercise that meets your needs based on where you're at in your healing cycle. So exercise smarter, not harder. Of course, evaluate the emotional stressors in your life. I think it's important to realize that there's many pieces to the healing puzzle. Many people are always focusing on nutrition, and they think the heavens are going to part, but you have to focus on other pieces of the healing puzzle, just like you're focusing on nutrition. So hopefully you gained a lot of information from this YouTube that maybe can help you go out and start to regulate your food cravings, or maybe regulate some of your other symptoms to create some vitality in your life. If you're interested in learning more and get some applicable information, you can take a look at our Fight Fatigue with Food online program. It's a self-paced online program. It's lifetime instant access. You can go at your own pace. You can go do it in the comfort of your own home. You could download the PDFs for each module. You can download the MP3s for each module and listen to them, take notes, as well as the 3 great bonus lessons that you get. Visit fightfatiguewithfood.com/class to learn more. Hopefully you enjoy this YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm out of here.